Statistics here, she travels all over the world.
And I'm very excited to introduce you to Greg Sauter, if you'd like to. Experience for them, and it's legendary. I'm sure. The Green Bay Packers. So we're going to get started, and
I could spend the whole time with them. I was in Santa Monica with a friend of mine. And he had a leather briefcase. And he goes up to my friend John. I think is we all should aspire to have a brand. You don't have to be the Seattle Seahawks. You can have a tremendous brand and be a, you know, this slide here, I guess it really begs the question. Graphics and key messages. Really what a brand is the perception that you have in your mind. And the real is that experiences drive brand. Very personal experience with the brand. In that case, those experiences. Number one, most of them are very successful, but many, and most of them being that we're here and being what we're more than just coffee and the for that. They've made a cultural. I'll go back to Lego a little bit. I took this photo when I was up in Vancouver a few years in person, looking at this and looking at the kids just super. So what about sports? Strategies. If you heard Bart today talking marketing in sports, you realize that are going to define your brand. So great brands know their customers intimately. Not only their customers, believe me, when Nike has done some of the things they've done, stand for more losses. And sports brands, great sports brands, we talked about in one of the sessions, and I found purpose had about a 70%. Fundamental level, cultural level, and if you look at sports organization as just about selling tickets and level, the sports industry. Actually sell tickets, you bring one of the building your brand and building equity. You're having a successful sales in your business. Minimizing the upside, minimizing the down. Over the past 20 seasons, successful brand, winning big time. Seahawks, or the Green Bay Packers with Aaron. And all of your brand equity can't be wrapped record and your star players. I like to say that the true test They ranked 22nd in they've gone 4-43. Brown's brand, I would say pride and ownership with it. Thing, how do we get our heads around this brand purpose, and what exactly is the purpose? I'd like to look at the very basic level vision and mission statement. So most organizations have, whether you work for a university, small sports team, big sports team, you have a vision and mission statement. Most of the time, the senior execs or the board make this, and it's on a wall somewhere, and nobody really thinks about it too often. It's in the boardroom, it's in the lobby, but it's not really driving you every day. A broader brand purpose, it's something that should be driving your business every single day. It should be helping you make decisions. And there's two key components in there that it helped me think about how you develop this brand purpose and the value. That's emotional value and functional value. So what's emotional value, functional value? Functional value are things like wins, losses, very concrete kind of zero-sum things. Concessions, is the venue easy to get to? Is the traffic bad? Can I get there? Is it a pain? Game presentation, are the seats comfortable, et cetera, et cetera. These things, as an organization, you have to deliver on, and you have to knock them out of the park. And Ruby's going to be talking about a lot of that. And if you knock them out of the park with that, and you do a good job, then you enter this zone where you start building this emotional value. And that's a sense of pride, it's a sense of community. You have friends, game day friends and game day family. We, in Saskatchewan, we talked about our game day family, our rider family. These are emotional bonds with the team that just don't go away when you lose if you do it right and you really build a true brand purpose. So this is a slide I've been using for a long time, and I really love it. It's more of I think a personal relationship slide from Anthony Robbins, but it's so true to sports. And our business is about relationships. It's about relationships with our fans. And our relationship with our fan is a place where we need to go to give and not take. And I've seen many examples. Team gets successful, 3 years in the playoffs, doing really, really well. That's a license to raise ticket prices and raise sponsorship packages and take your foot off the give pedal. Actually, what should be happening is when you're winning is the time to give, give, give. If you heard Bart this morning, you heard a lot about the fan council and the spending money on the scarves and the spending money on the $100,000 on the band, and that's all about giving back to your fans and building a relationship with them, and that's real value. So give, 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 and I think we're in the world now where we have so much of our business is based on subscription. I mean, it's Netflix, it's everywhere you go. The world is turning into a subscription business, and when you're in a subscription business, which in sports, in a sense, we have season ticket members. They're essentially have 1 year subscriptions, and you don't wait until at the end of the year to go back and be nice to them. You should be giving, giving, giving all year long to build that value and ensure you're getting another year's worth of subscription. So I spent 6 years with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Anybody know the Saskatchewan? The smallest, you don't know this, the smallest professional sports market in all of North America if you take the top kind of 6 leagues. The smallest market in the Canadian Football League. We, despite being the smallest market, we lead the league in attendance and TV ratings and social engagement and merchandise sales. Every measurable business metric, we lead the league by a mile. We just built a beautiful new 34,000 seat stadium. We had 26,000 season tickets that we moved over. It's been very successful. But when it comes to purpose, we had a very defined brand platform and purpose, and it's about 5 pages long, but I just pulled out some snippets to kind of give you a sense as to what drives the organization day to day. The Saskatchewan Rough Rider Football Clubs brings people together socially and emotionally, performing positive actions and inspiring others. We are ferocious supporters of the province of Saskatchewan. What we do inspires others. We inspire pride in the province. We inspire people to personal greatness, and we make positive impacts in the community. It's not about winning championships. It's not about star players. It's about our community and our fan base. Our fans own the team, and that is where our focus is. So when we have hard decisions to make, we go, okay, you know what should we do here? You know, we got a real tough situation. You go back to this and you say, okay, this is our North Star. This guides those decisions. And it works. You know, it's great for business. We have the cradle to grave, like many successful sports teams do. We emphasize family. It's about family, and when you feel like a family, you stick together, and you stick together through thick and thin. That means losing seasons, and therefore with the Riders, when we've had losing seasons, yeah, we've taken a little bit of a dip, but it hasn't been a complete crash. About 4 years ago, we started this party down in Phoenix, Arizona. Middle of February, certainly not football season, we got fans together down there, and we hosted a party at a Coyotes game, and we do it every year now, and hundreds of fans go down there. They plan their vacations around it now, and it's a party from noon till whenever the game is over late at night. They're not down there because we have a cool logo. They're not down there because of our star quarterback, and they're not down there because we won the championship. As a matter of fact, the last 4 years we were the worst team in the league, and we had hundreds and hundreds of fans there, and this is just a sampling of the group that stayed after the game. So it's an investment in our fans. I had one executive tell me, he goes, Greg, CFL executive, Greg, what's your ROI on that trip down to Phoenix? And I'm just like, what's our ROI? Our ROI is huge. It's massive, but it isn't a direct line where at the end of the party I go, well, we made X amount of dollars. It's an investment in our fans. It's giving back to our fans. Chicago Cubs won the World Series, new marketing campaign, totally focused on the fans. Celebrate, recognize, and reward the fans, and it worked for them very, very well. Timbers guys, maybe you're here. I know you're here today. I've never been to a Timbers game, but I know about the Timbers. And I know, how successful their focus on the fan has been. And this was an old article, as you can see, from 14. But what I love is how a risky ad campaign turned out to be successful. And I wouldn't say it was very risky. I think focusing on your fans is a pretty, but they obviously. The Seahawks, when somebody says to me, and when we brand testing, we say, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? And when you say Seahawks or you say Sounders, I think of the fans. It's the first thing that comes to my mind. And it works once again for Sounders and Seahawks. Seattle wasn't always a great sports town, but it's probably the best or near the best in North America now. The Green Bay Packers, wonderful, wonderful tradition of players riding kids' bikes from the stadium at training camp over to the practice field. Thousands of people out there. This cements an emotional relationship that will last for generations, certainly. Forbes, customer experience. Let's get back to customer experience. 89% of companies are now saying they compete primarily on customer experience. And of course, if you ask them all, well, how is your customer experience? Do you deliver good customer experience? They'll all say, of course we do. But when you ask their customers, not so much. So in the sports industry, customer experience absolutely drives brand. And Ruby's going to go into deep on that. But the thing that we also have to remember in this day and age, our brands are naked. And what I mean by that is that on any given day, and we've all seen it, whether it's the airlines or whatever, you cannot hide poor customer experiences anymore. It used to be you deliver a bad customer experience, and I'm telling the world, in many cases with video. What this is does anybody know this company, DAZN? Yeah, you're Canadian, you do, a few of you do. European company that streams live sports. Came into Canada last year. They got the NFL license. They started streaming NFL games in Canada, among other sports, and it was a disaster. I mean, honestly, the streaming, the service, the technology just didn't work, and they got really beat up. So this year they came back, year 2, and they're on Twitter telling people to sign up, and of course, what happens is you look at comments, and these are the comments. It's garbage, it's rubbish. Arash Madani, a high-profile sports journalist in Toronto, once again, service obviously not up to par even in years. And as much as you think you have a strong brand, when you're not delivering the experience, it's out there. European soccer, look at 6:30 for curry and chips, a hot dog. Nah, no, not working for you. On the flip side, though, a soccer team. Did anybody see this by any chance? It was all over social media. A soccer team in the UK. One of their fans, a super fan, was expressing his challenges with depression online, and the CEO of the soccer club sends him a letter, and he says, "Notice through social you're having a bit of a hard time recently. You've been a fan of the club for many years and always supported us. If the favor and we need to support you." Various Twitter feeds. So what does that tell you about the brand of that organization? Clearly there's a higher purpose there than just selling tickets. So once again, getting your head around this and breaking it down. This slide's years old, but it helped us as an organization say, where do we touch people? How do we engage with people? It's retail, it's community, it's events, it's radio, TV, it's sponsor activation, social media, of course, and game day, which is a massive animal all amongst itself. But it helps you get your head around it and in terms of how you're a brand purpose. And there's another way that I like to look at this, and that is that on the outside of your experiences with fans, you may have a marketing campaign, and it's a personal experience. It's maybe an advertisement, and it's clearly making an impression. It is an experience that's defining your brand to some point. But the closer you get into game day, the closer you get into that match day, the more intimate and the more personal and the more long-lasting those relationships become and those experiences become. And that's where the rubber hits the road. And I like to think of the outside as the brand promise, and the inside being where the promise is delivered. So now we're going to transition to Ruby, coming up and talking about fan experience and building your brand in a more detailed way game day with your most valued and engaged fans.
Thank you, Greg. I could talk brand with him all day. He's so wicked. Tell you the secrets to choosing the best team to work for. Would that be cool? Executives, look around to see who's taking notes, okay? Good deal, here we go. I truly believe that the fan experience is created from the employees, and the employee engagement factor really contributes to the fan experience. So today I thought I would take you on a journey and talk about those two specific things. Employee engagement is so important. If you're investing in all your employees and you're really engaging with them, they're going to get excited. There's no way they're going to the fans if you're not being nice to them. The fan experience has some intricacies, and there's a science to it. So I'll tell you some secrets on how to create that as well. I love doing training for all the teams that I work with. Here we are doing training for the San Francisco 49ers, the ambassadors, and we trained them in the San Francisco locker room at Candlestick. They felt really special. They felt pretty excited about it because they got to go in the locker room. It's about creating the experience for the employees as well as the fans, because once again, what goes around comes around. I believe that the experience really I would like to suggest today that you invite your team members, all of your employees, to be part of the experience. One of the first things I usually do with the team is I go in and do an audit, and I look over what's happening, and I take pictures all the way on a journey. One team I did an audit for, I walked in and showed them pictures, and they said, "Oh my gosh, Ruby, we're so embarrassed." And I said, "Well, clearly you have not invited your employees to be part of the experience. You've treated them like staff, like employees, and they are the when you engage them and you invite them, all the things change in the long run." So I'm going to walk you through quickly what an employee engagement really looks like. That's from the very beginning, and as students, I want to make sure that you understand what you're looking for in an employer. Employers, if you're not providing this, it's really important for you to pay attention as well. When you engage a candidate, someone who's going to be applying to work with you, you're thinking first of all about how are you attracting that person? How are you posting the information? You may see some LinkedIn posts about a job opportunity. And how are you talking about that opportunity? And are you engaging them in the process? Through the process with filling out an application, applying, they end up with more questions than they have answers. And then when you invite them for an interview, whether it's an online interview or an in-person interview, it's an experience for that candidate as well. So make sure that they are feeling good about the opportunity to work with you. Were you on time? Were you prepared? Is everything going smoothly with that process? Then make sure all the way that they are valued. Employees have to feel valued, and that's where you ask them their opinions. I'm going to give you a couple of examples pretty soon because it's so important that they feel part of the decision-making process. For a long time, we saw executives make decisions and tell staff what to do. Now, the secret is asking on the front line all the time. They know how important it is to, but sometimes they're not asked. So making sure that opinions involved in it. How are you rewarding? And it doesn't necessarily mean monetarily. I mean, it could, but there's many ways for you to provide some kind of reward system so that employee feels really good about the process. And then how do you retain them? Competitive market. Are you acknowledging that they want to move up? Are you caring about their career? Are you using and abusing them, and are they working way too many hours without any thank yous? That's the hard one. And do you care enough to help them grow? Are you having those conversations about their career? Are you asking them, so how can we help you get to the next level? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Those are the things that are going to make a positive employee engagement experience. But it's a perfect world, and sometimes they're very challenging. But as you're looking for a new employer, please acknowledge that it's important that your employer has some of these things and really appreciates you. Likewise, employers, take the checklist and think about how you can create a wonderful experience for your employees when they come on board so that they know that you believe in them. I love these opportunities to talk about really engaging with people. Your employees will treat your fans like you treat your staff. First time I said that quote, I was speaking in Reno, Nevada at a conference. I had 400 general managers in the audience, and I went, okay, here you go. They're going to treat your customers just like you treat them. And I watched all these general managers go, oh, note to self. If you expect them to return calls, you better be returning calls too. If you want to reply from an email, you better reply to their emails. You're setting the standard. Are you stopping and engaging with an employee in the middle of the concourse during the game, or are you walking somewhere? All of those kind of things are the examples that you are looking for as an employer. I truly believe that the fan experience starts with the engagement factor. So here I'm going to give you an example of one of the teams that I had actually a couple of the teams that I worked with. We created a fan experience council, one representative from each department. And one of the first things we did is they created a mantra representing customer service. Greg so eloquently talked about the vision and the mission, and sometimes those are already created and well in place. But now we have a new initiative, a transformation that they want me to help them do. So we create the Fan Experience Council, all internal, with the employees that work there, and the partners are included in that as well. Food and beverage, security, parking, merchandise, they are all invited in as part of the team, big picture. So I'd like you to guess with me what you think the Fan Experience mantra, whose is this one? Take pride in treating our guests. See. That was the mantra that they came up with. And it was something that they created, they felt good about it, and every decision that they made, customer experience-wise, was around this. A passion to treat everyone like family and create memories. Whose is that? Let's think about sports teams. It's basketball. The players just left. One's named Ginobili. San Antonio Spurs, thank you. They're the only show in town. They want to make sure that they're creating those memories and treat everyone like family. That's internally and externally. It's that family factor. Electrifying experiences ignited by world-class service. The Lightning, that was an easy one. Yes, the Tampa Bay Lightning. The day we came up with this one, I have a little process I take them through, but the Fan Experience Council was so excited about it. And Mr. Vinnick, the owner, actually got wind of it. He goes, who created this? And I was so proud to say that your staff members created that. It's internal. They feel valued, they're excited about it, and they did some pretty wild things with that logo. I'll show you that in a minute. As you know, the Lightning has the only Tesla coil in the country that's not in the museum in Chicago, and when the Lightning score, the lightning goes off. It's a pretty cool thing. I did have a video for you, but we won't go there because it's a really long one, but it's really cool. Okay? Electrifying experiences ignited by world-class service. Now, how do you make that happen? What elements go into it that are going to make every employee wear that and own that and deliver on that? Well, it starts with that exact leadership. Now, who recognizes the people in the picture in here? Anybody? Todd Lewicki. He was the CEO when I was working there with them. Steve Griggs is now the CEO. He was the COO at that time. So I had the opportunity to work with him for 2 years. How lucky is Seattle to have him involved with NHL Seattle? He is so cool. He is one of the nicest guys you will ever meet, and he gets it. He has this delivery that is so friendly. He owns it, he wears it, and every single day you see him as an example of wonderful experiences. After we created the mantra, one of the fun things they did, they decided to put a skinny picture of me, I was very grateful for that, on the door to the employee entrance. Now this is back of the house. 1,800 people come through this door every game. And it was a reminder that that's what they do. I'll give you a clear shot of it it was pretty amazing. I mean, I don't know how they worked with my staff to get the picture and everything, and it was pretty cool. So I was there. I only got a couple mustaches drawn on it over the couple years it was up there. But basically what we wanted to remind them is that this is what they stand for. And then it went on from there. The next step was identifying how could we create a reward system. So we went back to that wonderful Fan Experience Council. I gave them some parameters for what a really good reward system is, and then they came up with suggestions of what to do. This was what they decided to do. They had a secret shopper program that they were evaluated. Well, about 40 different people are evaluated every game, and if you got 100%, you got your picture and the date and 100% on the wall. Pretty cool. Once again in the employee entrance, so every time they came into work, they got to see it. Oh, but there's more. The next thing they said, wouldn't it be cool It's hockey. Wouldn't it be great if we had a little buzzer that they got to hit only if they've gotten 100%? Well, of course. So every time an employee comes in who's received 100%, they get to hit the buzzer. It was right outside Eiserman's office. I think that's why he left. I'm not sure about it. This was way cool. Every single game, a person walked through, and if they were standing beside someone who hadn't received the 100% yet, out of the way, I got to hit the buzzer. Do you think that was a reminder of what they're all about and a reward for getting to do that? So then, of course, when they leave, we want to make sure that they understand, thank you for providing world-class service. So all the way from the beginning to the end, they had all of the elements. The entrance, the sign-in, the door, and then the thank you. Full circle into the experience for the employees. And this was just one example of what they did to create the employee engagement there. But I thought it was helpful to understand that the employees are part of that process, so it's important to recognize them as well. And think about how many employees in a game, anywhere from 1,800 to 2,500 in some of the stadiums that I work in, and it is a powerful thing. The guys behind the scenes, the guys that clean things, the chefs that make the food appetizing and also beautiful. The guys that are on the court or on the ice, making sure that everything's running smooth there. And then the folks who are ambassadors walking the event, making sure everything's going on. Do you think these guys like each other? I mean, look at that. They love working with their colleagues. You know, the typical thing that you can really judge an organization is if you have a list of people who are going to work an event and you see them looking over the list to see who they work with. And if they go, yeah, it's going to be great. Or if they look at the list, they go, oh, man. Then you know there's something wrong. And what's wrong with that person? And why aren't they fitting in with the message? And why don't people want to work with them? There could be something there. The colleagues really work side by side to create that experience. But once again, they have to get the experience in order for them to do that. Creating that VIP experience is something that takes everyone in the building to be leading on the same page. And one of the most important things is working with the contracted partners. Now, when I was working with the San Antonio Spurs, we talked to them a little bit about contracted partners. And I said, well, I have an idea. Let's not call them contracted partners. Let's just call them partners. It made sense to me because there was like this negativity that was with this. And the Spurs did a great job of pulling in all of the partners, inviting them to be on the council so that they got to vote on things for a moment. The second step I'd like to talk about is the experience. So we've talked about how you create that for the employees. Now, how do you create that for the fans? And I thought I'd give you one example that really worked well for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, one of the things that happened with the Tampa Bay Lightning is Mr. Jeff Vinnick, he was a part owner of the Boston Red Sox, and he goes, I kind of like this. I'm going to buy the whole team. So let's talk about Tampa, Florida, and hockey. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of why everybody went. Hockey in Florida? He has changed that, trust me. He did an amazing job, and this is one of the steps that he took at the very beginning. We knew it was going to be challenging, so what we did is, one of the things that I teach is the cycles of service. Every step that a customer goes through in any kind of event or interaction, those kind of things. So that cycle of service, if you take the time to think from the customer's perspective, all those steps, and then engage your staff to help them identify the standards for each one of the steps, that's when it happens. They have a new lens and they see things in a new way. So I just trained 18 departments on the cycles of service, and then Mr. Vinnick made the announcement, okay folks, here we go. I bought the team in my first game in Florida. Everybody was wearing red. I don't like that. They were playing the Red Wings, a lot of snowbirds down there. They all got their old jerseys out, and he's like, we don't want that. I want to wear my colors. So they had a brainstorming session. They said, how can we fix that? Mr. Vinnick says, I'll buy them each a jersey. Now, the year before, we worked really hard from going 4,000 season ticket holders to 10,000. So that's a lot of jerseys. And then within that year, went to 11,000 season ticket members. He wanted to make sure that they felt very special, kind of like Cheers, you know, not a holder, but a member of the club. So we went on that mission. And there was a couple of complications in it that I'll share with you. And that, first of all, we ordered them, and then it takes a long time for 10,000 jerseys to be put together. And they were kind of special jerseys, too. They had the lacing, so they were actually the sweaters that you hear about in hockey. And they were amazing. They had a chip in the sleeve. And that chip had an RFID chip so that you could wave it up in front of the little cash register RFID reader, and you can get 25% off merchandise and 35% off concessions. Are you motivated to wear your jersey? Yes, you are. It doesn't come out, it stays in there. So there's a lot of things about the jersey that we needed to fix. Oh, and he didn't want to just give them all the same jersey. You know, think about how it could have been. Spread them out in the arena and say, okay, there's a box of extra large, there's a medium, that'd have been special, huh? No, it wouldn't have been very special, and we wanted this to be very special, and I had just changed their lens about cycles of service. So this is what we did. First of all, we had to figure out how are we going to get these distributed. So, how do you get all those fans to consistently wear blue? And how do you distribute 10,000 jerseys? And how do you make it a positive experience? Oh, let me just add that the arena was under construction, so it was closed. So we couldn't even do it there. Where do you put 10,000 jerseys while you're distributing them? All those kind of things. We sat in a room for half a day, and we identified the steps we would take them through. What we would do to make sure everybody understood all the stations, all the different positions, and everybody was on the same page. So as I go through this journey and share with you, what I'd like you to think about is, if everybody went through an experience and had this attention to detail, and then had your staff be part of the decision-making process, imagine the impact it would have on the results. That's where we're going to go today. First of all, they sent out a little invitation in the email, 200 at a time, and they said, hey, you have been selected to get a jersey from Mr. Vinnick, and you need to come at this window of time to come get your jersey, and here's some paperwork. If you want to fill that out in advance, it'll take time. Or two, and we actually the door, so we had a special parking thing. They drive a certain section for them to park, and then there's a golf cart to pick them up. The golf cart picks them up, and they go to the front door. But there's something that happens along that step, because they wanted to make sure they got to know the fan. Who's your favorite hockey player? Steven Stamkos. Oh, we love Steven. And as soon as that golf cart pulled up in front of the hotel, there was someone waiting for them for the handoff. And the driver would say he loves Steven Stamkos, so it was a personal relationship already. And the person who greeted them walked them in the door. Stairwells that went up. And if you've completed your paperwork, you went over here. If you hadn't completed your paperwork, no problem. You go over here, and there's tables and chairs and pencils and blank forms that they could fill out. And of course, along the way, there was the signage to make sure that they knew where they were going. So we had the signs, we had people pointing out where they needed to go, there was the tables, and everybody was helping along the way. Next step was the fitting station. They got to try on a set of jerseys, and they got to choose which one fits. Now, you may see the elation on my face, because that day, I was a medium. I have never been a medium in my whole life. It was like, I think it was a conspiracy, but I don't care. It was awesome. I got to try on the medium jersey, so that's the size that I want. And then they went and got a fresh one from the back and handed it to me. I took it over, and the next step, I had to get that chip activated. So, sat with the computer, put that chip up, they activated to my account, which had all the paperwork completed with the credit card information on it. So I can charge. I didn't even need to bring cash to the game. It was pretty cool. And At that point, I got to go next door and decide what to put on my jersey. Now, they were pretty special jerseys, and we wanted to make sure everybody had a custom one. Greg, would you hand me my jersey over there? Thank you. And of course, we had the option. Of course, everybody got the STM on it, which meant that they were a season ticket member. And then we got the your name and your number. And I had one for my husband. He was number 2. It just works that way sometimes. And then if you wanted to have the captain's logo, you could have that on there too. Imagine getting a custom jersey from Mr. Vinnig, how special that would be. The team started to embrace him in a whole new level, so much so that 10 people put Vinnig on the back of their jersey. That's the power of it. Now, this was a pretty cool thing, and if you'd like to come up later, you can see that the little right here, and it's just like a little magnet. It's about this big, but all you had to do was go like that. And then, of course, you want to put it on a special hanger. I forgot my hanger, forgive me. A nice wooden hanger, something that was special, and it had STM on it. And it had a little wider shoulders, so it really looked cool. And then they said, what? Are we going to help people understand how to wash and care for their jersey? So they're very community-minded there, so they said, let's go out and talk to a dry cleaning company and see if they will help us with this. So after you choose what to get put on your jersey, then you go to the packaging station. They brought in the racks. They were able to put the plastic over the jersey, and then they put a nice directions for washing along with a coupon for their dry cleaner. Are you feeling it? Do you see how it's all going? This is the power of when you plan ahead and you go through each one of the experiences and you plan what needs to happen at each step as well. And I'm happy to say, opening night, it was blue. Mr. Vinnig was very happy. As you walk through and you think of the elements that need to happen for your fans' experiences, think about the level of detail. They had a special room for, because imagine how long it took to do 10,000 jerseys. They were working 12 hours a day, staff was taken care of, and they could rotate positions because everybody knew the different roles that the people had along the way. The communication was great. It was a huge success because everybody was involved and everybody got to contribute. So the invitation, the arrival, the jersey selection, the education about the chip, the frequently asked questions. They knew with 200 people they might have to wait, so they had a little video set up over here. A looping, was just a monitor that had a looping PowerPoint of things you should know about your jersey. And so they were educating them. Oh, and there was a place for the kids to play as well. They thought of everything. When I do the training for them, one of the things that I talk about is being the experience, so much so that you become the story on Thanksgiving. You know, at Thanksgiving, we get together with family we haven't seen in a long time, and we talk about all the things that have happened in the past couple months. Wouldn't it be great if you're that story? That's the challenge I give all the staff, to let them know that they can be part of that experience, and that's their challenge to do that. So with that in mind, I'll let you know that Mr. Vinnig was very happy. Not only did we increase the season ticket sales, but we were able to go from number 85 to number 1 on the ESPN Fan Experience rankings. Worked out pretty well. I think we have time for 2 questions. I just got the 2-minute mark. Anybody have a question? Yes?
I'm curious, first of all, that was a pretty incredible campaign. Nice work on that. Differentiate between premium members and upper level members, that everybody got the same.
All the jerseys were the same, and regardless of the level, but they had a level that it wasn't like for 4 games. They had to be a full season ticket member in order to get that. Any other questions? Yes?
What would your wish?
Their engagement. I came in the second day, but what I saw when I pulled up in the taxi in front of the hotel was a woman carrying her jersey with plastic wrap on it, and she was the queen. It was one of those moments I will never forget. That's how excited they were about the experience. So with that in mind, I'll just close with this, and I know that Greg would agree. The experience really the experience defines the brand. And every game day staff member and partner are brand ambassadors. They're wearing that brand, describing and showing their stuff every single day to create that experience. I'm happy to stick around and answer any questions. I know Greg has to head out, but maybe a couple questions. And thank you so much for your attention today.